Team, we've assessed the mobility of our hips, but that's really only half the story. The other half is the stability. See, we don't just need mobility to be able to move successfully and pain-free, but we also need to be able to control and have strength with that mobility, with that range of motion, to feel and operate at our best. So today's exercises are going to be based on the stability of our hips, which areas are strong and which areas feel a little bit weaker or feel like they're not doing as good of a job. And that's what you're going to be working through. So throughout these motions, which are very similar to the mobility motions, now we're going to look at, okay, maybe we had range of motion in some of these, but do we have the strength to control the range of motion? The stability and mobility together is really what helps form the structural integrity of our hips. All right, team, let's dive in. We're going to be doing alternating legs. So in other words, we're going to do our right leg and do the motion, and then we're going to do the left leg and do that same motion. And again, your job is to find which one's doing a little bit better a job, or are they both doing really well, or which one maybe needs a little bit help and maybe needs a little more practice at these movements, okay? So we're going to start off right foot down, and we have really two options with this. If we feel a little bit unsteady, okay, then maybe we just stick to the 2 feet similar to the mobility, or we have the toe tap, maybe we just put a little bit more pressure on the toe tap if we feel a little unsteady, okay? But if we can, ideally we're doing this with just 1 foot down. But again, a toe tap is just as good at really helping us understand where we're at. So we have to get a feel. If you feel like you can do it on 1 foot, go for it. If you feel like you need a toe tap, nothing's lost. You might just have to pay a little bit closer attention. Make sure that you're really getting a good read on the leg that's down. So whatever leg that's down, that's the stability that we're working on. So we're going to start off right foot down, left foot either tapped or floating, okay? And we're going to turn to the right. And when we turn to the right, we want to feel the weight kind of go to the outside of our foot a little bit and then come back home. So I don't want my weight to live on the outside of my foot. I want to be able to feel it go to the outside, come back home. You might feel the side of the leg working, okay? You can keep your hands on your hips just to make sure you're feeling that turn. I don't want to bump out to the side or anything else, just a pure turn. You see the knee turn too, and that knee's going to go to the outside of my foot a little bit. And I'm feeling that work. And again, you can tap as you go. You can kind of keep it floating. You might want to start off with a toe tap. That's a good strategy. And then slowly lift up. Okay? All right. And now we're going to compare that to the other side. So I'm going to go left foot down. Feet are straight. I'm nice and shoulder width. So that's really important too. If I tap, I don't want to tap right here because then I'm all of a sudden already using some of my outside hip. I want to keep it nice and shoulder width. Okay? And then maybe we'll go a couple with a tap, and then maybe a couple with a float. And same idea. So you can see I'm a little wobblier on that side. You're getting a feel. How good is it at controlling it? Is that arch lifting a little bit? Is the weight going to the outside of the foot, outside of the hip a little bit? And I'm going to make a note of that. And again, we can use these same movements to get them stronger. So these are the testing movements, but they're also the strengthening movements. Now, are there 100 others that we could also choose from? Yes, but if we want to keep it simple, then I got to keep working on this motion here. All right, now we're going to go right foot down, and we're going to turn to the inside. So now I want my knee to come to the inside of my foot. Okay, I'm going to feel the hip kind of do the same thing, and then I might float it. And I can tap every once in a while if I feel like I lose my balance with the float. And what you really want to feel in the foot is that arch come down. So if there's a bug underneath your arch, you'd be squishing it, okay? And then coming back up. Squish the bug, come back up. And now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Weight goes to the inside, come back home. I'm getting a nice turn. And I want to feel nice and in control. If it's too easy, then again, take that toe tap away. Or be like, awesome, it's easy, I'm doing a great job. That's good. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and we're going to tackle the next plane of motion here. So we're gonna go sideways. So we're gonna start off, right foot again, okay? And we're gonna just kind of reach the hip out to the side and then come back home. Reach the hip out to the side, come back home. Again, weight's more to the outside of the foot, outside of the hip, and then come back home. About 5 reps to give you a good read, maybe a little bit more if you need it. All right, and now we're gonna go other foot down. So I'm testing that lateral hip strength here, okay? So my left hip's doing a better job on the lateral one than the rotation. And what you'll find is a lot of people think they have a good one and a bad one, good side and bad side. That's often not the case. Usually one side is good at some things and one side needs a little bit of help, and then vice versa. This side might be good at some things and this side might need a little bit of help. Okay, so that's one side of the story with the lateral. Now we gotta go to the other side. So now we're gonna challenge more of that inside hip, okay? So when I reach sideways, I gotta make sure that hip almost kind of gets to the inside of the foot. The knee definitely does. And again, I'm squishing that arch. And you can see naturally, my upper body just kind of tilts the opposite way. But I'm really making sure, so it's not this, okay? I'm really getting that hip to the inside and I'm feeling that groin go to work right now, and I'm seeing what it's got. Now I'm gonna go to the other side. Again, you might just go a little wider tap and just keep that tap down the whole time and just see that strength. Or you can just kind of tap once in a while a little bit. Okay, very good. And always nice to have too, with balance stuff around you where you can just, you know, if you need to just touch the wall for a little bit of help or hold on to a table or something, sturdy table, just nice to catch our balance. You don't ever want to get to the point where you feel like you're super off balance and have to catch yourself. Always kind of stop the move by then. And also, it's really important, start small. So you can always start a little small and be like, okay, I've got it. And then a little bigger, then a little bigger until you kind of find that threshold. All right, so now we've got our forward and back movement here, okay? We're gonna start off, and I'm gonna give you a side view here. We're gonna test more of the posterior hip, okay? We're gonna have right foot down, and I might just tap my foot behind here, nice and shoulder width. Very important that I don't tap narrow or behind me, and that I also don't kind of bounce the hip out to the side. So I don't want to be out here. Okay, so we want to be nice and symmetrical. You can tap next to you or behind you. Okay, and then I'll give you a side view first. We're going to hinge. So it's not a squat. I have a natural knee bend. I'm going to get a nice hinge. Okay, I might start with the toe tap and then lift up. And now on this one, I want to feel nice and centered on my foot. I don't want to feel my weight go to the outside of the foot or inside. I want to feel that I can maintain nice center. Okay, so let's go to the other side now. I got a good read on my right one. Now I'm going to take a look at the left. Start with my tap. And then I might float. Okay, very good. And a little bit of wobbliness is okay. Okay, you do want to take it to that point where you are challenging yourself. And it's not going to be totally perfect, but it should be good enough to kind of get a read like, hey, okay, this one feels pretty good. It feels pretty similar to the other one. Both of them feel pretty strong. Or, hey, both of them need some work. Or, I liked my right, didn't love my left on that one. And again, you just kind of make these notes. Okay, we're gonna go right foot down. Now we're gonna test this front hip here. I can have my toe tap next to me, okay? And then I'm gonna go ahead and drive the hip forward. And I might take that toe tap away. And really important, my weight is centered on my foot again. So it's not bowing inside or out, I'm not turning. All right, left foot down, okay? Starting with that shoulder width toe tap, very important. Again, very important, it's not narrow. And we just don't naturally, body's really smart. So it's always gonna try to take the easiest route. So if you're better at having it a little bit out to the side, your body will wanna go there. Really try to make sure that we're testing what we need to test here, okay? Because short term, body's like, hey, I can get through this, I'm strong this way, let's just do it this way. That's fine, but then long term, that can create some compensations where this just starts working too hard and maybe gives you some aches a little bit, okay? So we wanna make sure everything's doing its job. So nice shoulder width tap. We're gonna drive forward, come back home. Maybe take the tap away. And rest. Okay. Hopefully we made a little bit of notes as we go along, or we can do this again and kind of take those notes again. And now you take your mobility and you take your stability and then just create a couple moves. So maybe you pull 2 or 3 moves that were tight in the mobility and you say, okay, hey, I gotta do some extra turns to the right here. And then a couple moves, pull them out from the stability. So for me, I need to practice a couple times a day this rotation to the left with the left leg down. And I'm gonna make sure I start to get pretty good at that. And that's gonna make these guys a little more symmetrical, which will make the hips happier, the back happier, the feet happier, makes our whole body happier, okay? So, you do not have to keep doing the whole sequence. Whatever you felt maybe needed a little bit extra help, or maybe you just wanna get better at both of them, so you could choose both. You just take those movements from each side and say, okay, my left rotation to the left was a little tougher, I gotta practice that. And then when it gets pretty easy on the toe tap, then start to take that away, okay? So, that starts to become a little bit of homework, but between the mobility and stability, you've really started to build up a nice, strong integrity. And if you always need a little bit extra help, you can contact a coach through Home Fit Plus. You have a lot of awesome free videos in the mobility section for balance and mobility work in Home Fit Plus, and then you can always get a more customized program if needed. All right, team, very good work. I'll see you for the next one.